besides the last one that I've underlined there, have any relevant titles?
Well, sort of. Michihiro Sasaki is an executive managing officer of corporate planning at Square Enix.
See, I feel like him being on an executive board probably makes a type of sense.
Yeah.
He's just getting promoted to do more stuff of what he already does, I guess.
Yeah. That seems
Hirokazu Nishikado is the executive officer for World of Final Fantasy and corporate executives for Lightning Returns and Final Fantasy 14.
Get out.
Whatever corporate executive.
Okay, I was gonna say, it doesn't seem like he probably has anything else to do so far. So, okay.
Yu Miyake is a composer and sound engineer, originally for Bandai Namco, and worked on Katamari Damacy's soundtracks.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
And also Tekken soundtracks.
Interesting.
Oh, we should fire him.
But like everything that they're credited here for, Ridge Racer, Katamari Damacy, none of this stuff is in a lot of Tekken games and Katamari. None of this stuff is Square Enix games.
Right.
So I guess he's recently transferred over.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then we have Kazuharu Watanabe, who is the chief financial officer for Square Enix.
Okay, so the CFO.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Makes sense too. Yeah. And then the final one on the list here is Naoki Yoshida, producer and director of Final Fantasy 14.
Which I think, kind of forces the question and some of the discussion, like, does him serving on this board impact his ability to continue to create FF14, or is he going to have to delegate some of those responsibilities out? Because I think
wasn't it at like FanFest or something where he already said that he, as the producer and director, already takes on so many roles because he doesn't trust anyone else to do it. He kept saying, I'm the producer and director for that reason because I don't know who else I would give this role to. And now he's also on this board.
Exactly.
To me, that seems like Yoshi doesn't know how to say no.
Yes, and
wow,
Nika getting fierce.
I do think that he's
he doesn't trust
taken
other
on too
people
much
to do shit, so he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I feel like he's taking on way too much.
So I mean, I do think that there is a fairly practical question at the heart of this: is that, does Yoshi P continue to serve as producer-director for FF14, or does he start to move on to other projects now that we're 3 expansions deep?
Oh, God, are you asking from, like, what we would prefer, what makes the most sense, what is likely to happen?
Yes.
All of those.
Okay.
All of the above. Because here's the thing, is that, I think that him serving an additional position on something like an executive committee seems like a lot of responsibility from the outside. I mean, obviously, we have no real way to know, but
because who knows, all it might require of him is just to vote on shit. And if that's true,
maybe.
I mean, he's probably fine.
Maybe.
But if he has to do any more than that, I feel like it's going to be.
Also, keep in mind, though, this isn't just like, the executive board for like a branch of Square Enix. This is for the entire company now. So whether or not he is just being called to vote on something every now and then, Square Enix is a big company. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Dude, I mean, for a while, I was given some additional responsibilities at work that would force me into some meetings, and I was like, no big deal. I'll be able to do it. It was like maybe 3 to 5 hours more every week that I had, and I ended up, I couldn't do it.
I feel like every other message that I get from my girlfriend when she's at work is, why am I in this meeting? I don't have to be here.
Yeah,
wasted time.
There's that too.
Yeah.
And so, when FF11 started to really change the most from where it had started, right? Like, I think through all of Treasures of Odd Urgon, the core of Final Fantasy XI stayed pretty much the same. Where it got first disrupted was in Abyssia, where you had that climb between 75 and 99. Mm-hmm. That was, I think, the most disrupting part of FF11, and that happened after Hiromichi Tanaka had departed the project to focus on FF14. So would somebody else coming in to helm FF14 bring some fresh perspective to the project?
Wouldn't hurt it.
I don't know. It might.
How? How could they hurt it more than they already have?
Because sometimes the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't.
Okay, all right.
So what would be worse? Having Final Fantasy 14 continue down the uninspired path that it is?
Mediocrity.
Or trying something new and failing?
It depends on the perspective you're looking at. If you're looking at it from our perspective, we're already on our way out. So even if they try something new and it sucks, we lose no dog in that fight.
But the
game itself does still have people paying and playing and enjoying it. And if they try something different that pushes people away instead of just bleeds them out slowly,
Sounds like Yoshi is the juxta of Square Enix. He takes on all of the responsibilities with none of the praise. #praise juxta.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Man, you are very...
You're lucky you're giving us money,
smart.
Frumpy Raccoon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Man,
that dollar.
Getting extremely gay vibe.
From Square Enix's perspective, yes, a new face could potentially be worse than what they have now.
I think even a new direction is, I think that's part of the reason that Square Enix is so reluctant to go in a new direction with FF14 is because they've already got one big loss on that ledger.
Yeah.
It's called 1.0. And that did try to do some new things, and it did try to push the game in a different direction than what we have now. Yes, what we have now is predictable, and it is very safe. But it also works. It works to some degree.
It works to enough degree that this game is so profitable now that they have asked him to actually be on this board. Like if he had to come and turn that game around, he would not be on that board right now.
And we can't discount that. Even though this may not be exactly the game that we want all the time, it does do well enough to not have to take some of the economic routes that other MMOs have had to take. Even though they may slowly be pushing that way. I don't want them to, but obviously it seems like it is going more and more that direction. So, I think that it's a valid question to ask. And then if he does end up stepping down, what happens then? I think that may be an even scarier question. Because again, sometimes the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't. Sometimes, not always, though.
No, I think you're right. Because one of two things happens: either they don't change what's already there, or they do. Them trying to drastically change what's already there, whether it is to fix perceived problems, whether it's to cater to other people or not, runs a big risk that all those who are currently playing it straight up don't like what you're pivoting to and leave en masse. If you try to keep it the same, whether or not you think you're being true to the original vision or you're doing the same thing that Yoshi was doing, you still run the chance of little by little ruining it, whether that's, from cutting out content here and there or, again...
Hashtag LBR for XIV director.
I would not. No. None of it. No.
I could do that.
You don't want that.
I could do that.
No, fuck off.
Point is, though, even if someone came in and didn't want to quote unquote change it, it could still end up changing drastically from what it is that Yoshi P is doing with it now.
That's fair. That's fair. I think anyone coming in, is going to have a disrupting effect on the game itself. But is that disruption needed, right? Like, there's always a kind of painful time when you have a changing of the guard where, you've got to kind of get used to the new rule, the new master, right? But, and that can sometimes be painful and chaotic. But, it's happened before. Plenty of games that are ongoing, persistent worlds have done it. Is it time for FF14 to get a new director? I think that's a valid question. If you want to give us a call,